Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. So there was one statement that the Home Minister made yesterday, and I want to just take you through with what he said. Now, Amit Shah stated that people from different states should speak in Hindi, not English. Mind you, Amit Shah is the chairperson of the Official Language Committee. He was chairing a meeting of that. But he did also say, viewers, very clearly that it's not that Hindi should substitute other local languages, but English, yes. But this statement was enough to ignite a massive linguistic debate. If India has no national language, then can one language define your Indianness? History stands testimony that India is a country steeped in regional identity, and assertion of its linguistic pride has often drawn that proverbial North-South divide. With one statement, the Home Minister, Amit Shah, has reignited the eternal debate over language and Hindi imposition. Amit Shah is the chairperson of the Official Language Committee, presided over a meeting on 7th April. He stated, people from different states should speak in Hindi, not English. Shah, however, clarified that Hindi should be accepted as an alternative to English and not local languages, also suggesting that Hindi should be made more flexible by accepting words from other languages. The statement, though, was enough to awaken the linguistic sub-regionalism that has now become a part of the political consensus in most southern states and states with strong regional dialect.
I only wish to quote Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, when he was Chief Minister. He gave an assurance in the Parliament that as long as the non-Hindi speaking people prefer, English will continue to be the link language or second language. So this concept is not acceptable to us.
BJP government systematically, by using their organizations, that is Vishwa Hindu Parishad, RSS, everything, to divert the mind of the people. If this thing is going on for future 2-3 months or 6 months, we will see what Sri Lanka people they are facing now. That will going to repeat in India.
उसी मुताबिक चलते हैं, हिंदी, हिंदू, हिंदुत्व. घुमा फिरा के वही तो बात आ रहे हैं ना कि हिंदी मतलब बीजेपी, हिंदू मतलब बीजेपी, हिंदुत्व मतलब बीजेपी. ये हमारे देश के लिए हानिकारक होगी. मैं बड़ी दावे के साथ कह सकता हूं.
The BJP's comeback was quick, that this was a ploy to misrepresent what the Home Minister said, and local regional languages were always of importance.
Some of the political parties in the South have lost focus on development, and hence they are looking for such issues which are absolutely non-issues. The party and the government is very clear that we are to promote all regional languages.
As regional pride faces off with the Indian accepted language of nationalism, the cultural sociological debate aside, the politics over language will only peak now. Elections are in order in Karnataka in 2023, and few things wind up electoral emotions more than regionalism. Bureau Report, India Today. So viewers, what's really happened is that this entire statement by the Home Minister has once again reignited the imposition versus integration debate, Hindi imposition primarily. And what we've done is, on To The Point this evening, we've tried to get spokespersons from parties that also represent different states from regions where regional language is rather strong. I'm going to be joined in a very short while by Mr. A. Sarvanan. He's the spokesperson of the DMK. Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party, joins me. So does Kakuli Ghosh Dastidar. She is MP from the TMC. I appreciate, thank you for all for joining us. Mr. Sinha, I want to ask you one quick question. Now, the fact is India does not have a national language, but India does have two official languages, which is Hindi and English. Are we looking to question the status of English as India's official language?
Well, the official language is clearly Hindi as defined by Article 343(1)
No,
of the
sir.
Constitution.
No,
It says
sir. The
official
Article 3,
language
I'll
of the
put the
Union
Article
shall be-
343
no,
out.
English is the second language.
It's an official
English is
language
the
of
second
communication,
language.
sir.
Nehru,
And I
in
will read
fact-
out, and I'll ask I will ask our producers while you...
English
Okay, we're going to play
is
that
the
out.
second language. The primary language, the first language is Hindi. English is the second language, and Nehru had given assurances that they would continue beyond 1965 in response to certain protests in the South. Now, what the Honorable Home Minister said yesterday does not in any way affect that. He has appealed for increased adoption of Hindi. We have come a long way since the 1960s and 1950s. The mentality which Nehru subscribed to, and I don't blame him entirely, I don't blame him at all for that, because those were the early years of independence, and this the 75th year of independence, when India is surging ahead on the path of self-reliance and Atmanirbharta. We also need to be somewhere Atmanirbhar in our thought process, in our language, and in our thinking, and that emanates from having a local language adopted more aggressively. That has nothing to do, that would not impact the existing status at all. But yes, and again, the Honorable Home Minister has repeatedly said that if at all increase of Hindi is adopted increasingly, that would be at the cost of English, not at the cost of local languages, which will only thrive. We need to ask ourselves, 75 years down the line, do we need to strictly adhere to Nehru's thought process where he felt that English was essential? We don't feel it is essential today.
Sir, you feel it's not essential today, and I will correct you if you allow me. I'm reading directly, I'm quoting the Article 343 of the Indian Constitution. I'm quoting, sir. And the Article 343 of the Constitution says, in quotes, official language of the Union shall be Hindi in Devanagari script along with English. This is what our Constitution says. And I am quoting off the Constitution. Sir, just correcting you there, but I want to now cut across and bring our other two guests, and I will come back to you because, this debate is a 2:1, where we have Kakoli Dastidar, who's from the TMC, and our DMK spokesperson, A. Sarvana, who's also now joining us, and I'll try and give you, equal play as the both of them. So, Kakoli Ghosh, I want to ask you, the TMC has also very vociferously spoken against the possible Hindi imposition. Now, our spokesperson, Mr. Sinha, and even Amit Shah in the meeting made it very clear. It's not that regional languages, are at second play. It's English. It's not, in your context, Bengali is going to get second play. It will get equal play as Hindi, but English should be inferior to Hindi. That was the context.
I think this is a direct attack on our constitution, on our diversity. This unconstitutional move or thought is, it is a reminder that the central government is trying to make piecemeal of the country through their erroneous decisions. I would like to remind them about the concept of Bharat or India, which is actually unity in diversity. And this diversity is lingual as well as cultural. They just cannot trample upon that. As a Bengali, I would like to say Jai Bangla. I would like to demand for 100% reservation for Bengalis. But that would be stirring a hornet's stress in this country, because there are so many languages being spoken. The person from Kerala would like the same demand to be placed in favor of Malayali, or the people of Gujarat even might like to talk about Gujarati. So I don't know how, trampling upon the Article 343 subsection 1, the government is trying to declare Hindi as national language. There are 22 official languages. Hindi is placed 6th in that list. So Hindi is just another official language, not a national language. When they should be actually nurturing, as far as UNESCO's list, the endangered languages spoken by less than 10,000 people, the dialects, the scripts. The Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal, she's recognized languages like Nepali, the script like Alchik or Santali, so that giving them impetus to grow. The government is doing just the opposite. The central government is trying to kill of these sections of people, the regions of this country.
All right, okay, we've played out the exact excerpt, Mr. Sinha, from the Constitution as well. We just played those graphics out as well. I'll come back to you with what Ms. Dastidar said, that this is a threat to regionalism where it doesn't have to be local languages, but it's a push by the BJP to make sure that Hindi is the recognized official language where it's not.
Yes.
Mr. Sinha, the question is to you.
No, so, you only started by quoting Article 343(1). The primary language continues to be Hindi over there. So how is it not an official language?
The point nobody's contesting it's not the official language. There are two official languages. And then there's a whole, I will break it up. We have those graphics as well. Go ahead, sir. Make your point.
So the point is, number one, there is no imposition. These fears in Tamil Nadu politics have been stoked from, the last 70 years that Hindi is going to be imposed. Nobody has imposed Hindi. But yes, increased adoption of Hindi makes communication across states easier. Today, if you just go by facts, if you look at the fluency with which the Northeast population has adopted Hindi, it's very heartening. It only mainstreams them. It helps them get, jobs and acceptance across the country. Employment becomes easier for them. So if a certain language, if Hindi, by virtue of it being the first language of 44% of the population of the country, is being encouraged, what problem do other people have? No other language is being affected at all, trust me. Regional languages are equally being promoted. Mr. Amit Shah himself his mother tongue is not Hindi. But he has adopted Hindi because he feels that Hindi is seamless in connecting with people across the country. So at least, you should follow the example of successful people rather than contesting everything and stoking fears among people, unfounded fears.
All right, Mr. A. Sarvana, it's parties like yours in Tamil Nadu that are stoking such fears when none should exist. That's what the BJP spokesperson says.
See, the Chief Minister of our state, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has hit out at what the Home Minister has said. It said this push of trying to replace English with Hindi will have a deleterious effect on the unity and the integrity of our country. He has also said, what does the BJP think? Does it want only Hindi states? Does it not want to take along all the Indian states? This is what our leader, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has said. See, when we are talking that majority of these people speak Hindi, so let it be the link language. This is called majoritarianism. We are a pluralistic society. We are a multicultural society where every language, see, English is a leveler. Any language which is not my mother tongue is a foreign language to me. If it is Telugu, Malayalam, it is be Hindi, Spanish, Japanese, English, all these languages are foreign languages to me. So I will treat them equally. The fact that English is a leveler is because I will be at the same advantage as that of someone from UP who is a native speaker of Hindi. It will give them distinctive advantage because everything is in Hindi. Whatever I do, I can never become as expert as someone who is a native speaker in Hindi because my mother tongue is something else. This is the precise reason last 70 years. This issue is settled long back. Why are they reopening this? They want to divert the issue from fuel rise. They want to divert their incompetence. They are trying to take money. They are trying to take all the taxes. They want to change color. That is why this issue is this bogey is now taken up. This is totally unwarranted. See, yet another aspect which we have to bear in mind is that.
Okay.
Just a moment, sir. Just a moment. Let me finish this.
Let him finish. Please let him finish.
Yet another aspect that has to be borne in mind is this. Only because we have adopted, India has adopted English as one of the link languages and we have used it widely, there is so much of economic prosperity in our country. You cannot become a doctor, you cannot become an engineer, you cannot become a computer programmer without English. None of the regional languages, leave alone Hindi, none of the regional languages in our country has this capacity to educate our professionals. Not alone professionals, any other subject, accountancy, advanced economics, whatever. We don't have enough subjects. We don't have enough textbooks. So how do you propose to improve? How do you propose to take the nation to the next level? If this is going to happen, it will have a disastrous consequence and the state of Tamil Nadu will stand against this move.
All right, Mrs. Sarvana, stay with me. Mrs. Sinha, I'll come back. You gave out a figure and I will now quote the 2011 census data of languages. Now, this is a document, by the government. Although which says Hindi is the most widely spoken language in the country, almost 6 in every 10 people, and I'll give you the figure percentage, 56.37% of India does not identify Hindi as their first language or their mother tongue. Therefore, my question to Hind Sinha is, if somebody from the south wants to communicate to somebody from the north, where the north doesn't understand their language of the south, the communication usually is English, sir, not Hindi.
You know, you are saying the same thing which I said. I said 44%, for 44% of our population, Hindi is the first language. You are saying 56% do not identify it as the first language. So you're exactly saying what I said. But the fact that 44% is a huge number in a country where 121 languages are identified as per 8 schedule, both section A and B, the fact that one language has a commando is spoken by 44% people as a primary language, shouldn't it get some sort of precedence?
So tell me, I'll ask you, let me ask you this question.
For India in terms of connecting
Mr. Sinha, I'll ask you this question. Let me ask you a very plain, simple question, a very layman question, sir. And I'm sorry I'm coming in, and then I'll give you enough time to answer. Is, if somebody from the south, let's say, forget about Tamil Nadu, because you said that this is possibly, you know, a conspiracy by politicians in Tamil Nadu. Let's say Karnataka. You have equal dibs in Karnataka. Let's say in Karnataka, if somebody wants to communicate to somebody in Uttar Pradesh, will they talk in Kannadiga or will they talk in English?
Well, you know what what Amit Shah ji has said is a vision. He would want people to communicate. It may not happen suddenly, but the fact is somewhere it is working for the country. You know, just to answer what the DMK spokesperson just said, I am pretty appalled when he says that any language other than my mother tongue is a foreign language.
Yes, that is the truth.
This only shows the parochial mindset of the DMK.
Sir, I'll come back to you. Let him, give him time, sir. He did not intervene. Sir, please, he didn't intervene. I'll come back.
So Preeti, this is precisely the parochial mindset which we want to fight. For us, 121 Indian languages enshrined in 8th schedule are all our local languages. We don't differentiate. We are not differentiating between them, unlike the DMK spokesperson who has revealed his parochial colors on your show today. And this is the parochial mindset we are fighting today through an increased and encouraged adoption of Hindi across.
Okay. Mr. Sinha, I want to bring in Kakoli Dastidar back in this conversation. The parochial mindset you say, but then 56% of India has that parochial mindset, which is, if you go by majority, the majority. Sir, that is the majority. Now, having said that, I want to go back to Kakoli Dastidar. Kakoli Dastidar, the fact is this is not an imposition, this is a vision. That is what Hind Sinha says. It's a vision by the Home Minister that Hindi should be the link language which unites India.
We appreciate visionaries. But what are visions for? For betterment, not for worse. To take anything forward, we need a vision. But this will be taking us backwards. See, English is our means of international communication. And like the representative from DMK party was saying, that as far as education and research is concerned, we still have not been able to work on books, papers, journals for advanced research in medicine, in academics, in engineering, in software development. But to keep up with the international development in these subjects, the students need to read these books. So we need to keep up with the English standards. Otherwise, we will not be able to give our students equal opportunity to do well on international field. And secondly, about parochialism, if you have to remember, which you should, the government should remember that this country came up from different smaller states all over the country. See, Bengal and the other parts of Bihar were together known as Magad. Similarly, Punjab was separate. Similarly, in the southern side, there were other states who were having their own languages. So the present India, present Bharat, is a conglomeration. They have come together after independence, but they still retain their old culture, the old flavor. So unless we have an unifying factor as far as the language is concerned, we cannot impose one particular language, that is Hindi. English has to be the language of
I'll bring in Tuhin Sinha very quickly. Tuhin Sinha, the fact is, where is the vision here? Where a country like China, which emphasized on Mandarin, is now walking backwards and trying to rectify that mistake. And India, which always had English as their official language, has made many inroads internationally, purely riding on the basis of knowing English. It's a universal language. It is a universal link language, sir.
I think our problem emanates from the reverse side. We adopted so much of English in the early years that we eventually realized we were cut off from our roots. Soon, we would have a generation who would not even be able to converse fluently in their own mother tongues. This is what we are precisely battling. A culturally rich language is the fundamental on which cultural legacies are built, and cultural legacies are equally important in the larger development narratives of the country.
All right, okay, but those who want to speak Hindi will speak Hindi. Those who want to speak English, and like I said, English is the universal language.
Let me, Preeti, this whole perception that these people build up that we are a North Indian party today, we are ruling in Karnataka. Very soon we'll have a government in Telangana, and we are making massive inroads in Tamil Nadu.
Sir, are you going to? It's a very dangerous statement you're making. Sir, you're making a very dangerous statement there. Are you going to Karnataka or Kerala by saying Hindi is going to be the link language? I doubt it. Your unit of Karnataka, has been fighting against.
You didn't allow me to complete my sentence.
Sir,
what I'm saying is that the very fact that the English is over-exaggerated. Okay. This is what our primary finding has been.
Sarvana, English is over-exaggerated.
The importance of local languages.
And Hindi is no longer just contained to the heartland. Sarvana.
Yeah. See, Hindi is a language spoken by the majority of the people. BJP is a party which is pandering to this Hindi majoritarianism. Look at the kind of money they have spent on Hindi alone. They say all the languages are there. They have spent so much of money on Hindi alone. The tax is paid by everybody. The tax is paid by the state of people of Tamil Nadu, by people of Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. They don't have Hindi as their mother tongues. They pay the taxes, and the union government, with a big heart, gives around 600 crores for promotion of Sanskrit, and some large amount. He proudly proclaims 22,000 teachers are appointed for teaching Hindi. What about the other languages? The taxes are paid by the entire union. That is why we are saying this is a majoritarian ploy. We oppose this. See, however proficient I am, whatever it is, I can never compete with someone whose mother tongue is Hindi. That will put me into a distinctive disadvantage. And this will create two classes of citizens. That is what we have avoided. See, this has all been decided 70 years back. Why do you want to reopen this? Why do you want to reopen this debate? For whose political gain? We are progressing. You are not able to manage the economy of the country, and you want to further push it down by saying we'll abolish English.
All right. May I close this debate? I hope all of you have got equal opportunity. Thank you, all three of you, for joining us. We leave it for our viewers to decide whether Hindi over English is imposition of English, or is it integration? Imposition of Hindi, I beg your pardon, or is it integration as a link language of the country? Is it even possible? Leave it for our viewers to decide. Thank you for joining us. Up next is my colleague Shivaru.